Hey everyone, I'm Tasnix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, the Grand Arena focused podcast centered around the top 100 of Kyber 1 for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I am joined by my regular co-hosts, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, it is the 3 versus 3 preview. We are gathered here to discuss the finest options we have coming out of set 21 and a few other items. But before we get started into all that, Dagger, how are you?
I didn't remember to join GAC last week, so I don't know. I didn't.
That makes sense, as there was no GAC last week, so. With the of you. Good. TJ, how are you? How's it going?
It's good, man. I'm just over here playing with my 2-star CX2, just doing spinny stuff.
Yeah, I hate you for it. Yeah, you're one of the lucky ones.
I am one of the dudes. I'm one of the bros.
So, I know of your ilk. I am not among them.
Yes.
All right. Sasha Aisha, how's it going, sir?
Going well. I didn't even realize CX2 was available until maybe 12 hours after the event ended, and I noticed in Guild's chat, folks were mysteriously unlocking him. But so I've got some catching up to do. But like Dagger, I went undefeated in GAC last week, so that's good.
Well done, the both of you. Great. And Fatal, last but not least, how you doing?
I'm doing. It's going. I don't know why, but weirdly enough, this last off week, I guess maybe just because there's a lot of shit coming down the pipe for Galaxy Heroes, and I'm also looking forward to Andor. This last week, Galaxy Heroes wise, felt like it took fucking forever. Even though it was like the rest of life happened, the rest of life itself went by super fucking fast. But any time that I was like doing anything in this game, I was like, Jesus, fuck! It feels like I haven't played GAC in a month at this point.
Yeah, so this is what I never really thought I'd end up talking about this at any point, but I wondered if we would all acclimate to how much there was to do in the game and eventually feel bored when one thing wasn't happening. Because you remember, there was like a solid year and a half, 2 years. I don't know if it was all of us, but certainly me. Would complain just, man, there's, especially on Hell Week, there's just too much. Doesn't feel like that. I was bored this week too. I agree with that.
Specifically for me, I banked a Conquest calendar for 2 months straight without claiming it. And so I had like 9,000 energy going in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I got to Sector 4 on day 1, and I've just been simming every day since then. So, and our guild, we don't do TB because TB is not worth the squeeze. So I was just autoing a handful of TB battles and simming Conquest for the most part. And just like, all right, I'm racking up mats. I'm doing my shit.
To say, man, I still got to Sector 4 day 1 too. I didn't get to rack up. I wasn't cool as Fatal racking up 2 calendars, but I definitely was at Sector 4.
I'm doing that shit again. Fucking they told us another calendar. I was like, what? Listen, man, I'm not a paragon of self-control, but if I could do it once, I'm trained at this point.
Dude, if you're set for your dynamics, but yeah, man, I bought every pack under the sun because of everything that was going in. So I was at Sector 4. I think I was going hard, and I'm the one who does things the hard way. So when I say I got the Sector 4, I'm not the dude like we have Baby Yoda and Chromium and the other ones, and they're done within the first 30 minutes, and they're already like red boxed. I'm the guy who will go all the way to the end, and I try to be thrifty. But when you get these new Datacron sets, I go ham, man. So I bought them all. Any pack or anything you could get, I was in it.
I mean this saying no shade to anyone, but I do not understand people who rush the red box. Like, brother, you've got 2 weeks for that shit. We're using these Datacrons right now.
They do.
Yeah. I mean, I was just talking to Tess about this earlier. I have 11 level 9s and 2 of the focus Datacrons maxed. I didn't start Conquest till day 3.
But I don't think you understand the level of, like, they get to red box because they do the same thing. And they're going to, like, the 800s or wherever it's at for the numbers that are going to be ridiculous.
No, what Fatal's saying is that they do red box and then farm as opposed to farm and then red box.
I don't disagree, Fatal, but I would call ourselves a thriftier bunch because I don't understand it either. I'm gonna go and do my farming and then I'll get my red box like last day or whatever.
Well, you can make one of two assumptions. You can either assume they're incredibly financially literate,
Right.
or they're just the type that, peace of mind means so much to them that they pay more in
Yep.
insurance premium than what we make in a month. That type of thing, right? That's like, they're not sweating it. It doesn't mean anything to them. They'd rather
I
have
will
the
also say
time
this
back.
regarding Conquest. Having a few, I talk about this like among us, but I have a few friends that started playing this game a few years ago, and they're like 6.5 to 8 million, and they're just coasting to red box at that level. So I'm just trying to figure out like why. I'm not saying Conquest isn't like a grind. I'm just
I'm
saying
telling
like
you, it's a peace of mind thing. I've got it
no,
out of the
I'm
way,
not
and
talking
it's
about, I'm
done.
not
That's what these
talking, I know,
people
I
think.
wasn't talking about that. I wasn't talking about that. I was more referring to like I hear a lot of people still complain about Conquest, and I'm just like.
Mhm.
I feel like we've all gotten efficient enough at Conquest where we can do it. Like the first day is like an hour. Like I get it. I'm not trying to pretend like it doesn't take a while the first couple days. But after that, if Conquest is taking you more than like 10 to 15 minutes a day, you should probably reevaluate how you're doing Conquest.
Well, I think that it's also been just pretty easy the last two
That's also
cycles
true.
of Conquest, right? I don't know a lot of people complaining about Conquest these days, but if there are folks, it's like, man, you've probably been playing the game long enough to know that it's been appreciably harder than this, not even all that long ago. Like, why complain? Huh.
Yeah, I was just kind of speaking to that. I mean, like I'm in a guild that cares about TB. But I mean I thankfully don't have to grind it too hard except for a couple days.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying Hell Week doesn't feel quite as much like Hell Week as it did like 6 months ago. And yes, part of it is the difficulty of Conquest, but the other part is just I know my guild's is outgrowing some of the stars. You know what I mean? That we don't have to do as much effort
Mhm.
for some of the stars. I don't know. I feel like Hell Week is bad for some people, but I think most of us here just don't feel it that bad.
It was never
Fair.
really bad for me just because I specifically made an effort to always pace myself. That like, but honestly, FTCs have kind of changed this dynamic a little bit. That you're definitely more incentivized to not take a break from Conquest.
Mhm.
But yeah, there were points where like when Conquest did not have simming and Hell Week was going on, I just did not play Conquest, and I
Yeah.
would like to
That
take
is
that week
true.
off.
Huge quality of life difference. Sorry, someone was going to say something. No? Okay. Well, let's go ahead then and jump into the regular agenda. So, going into this first week of 3 versus 3, item 1, our preparations in terms of mods and relics applied. I hoed myself, right? I'm not going to lie to you. I put 9 on Sidious, which is not bad. We could argue that probably putting it on Oppo would have been better. And not that it would have made a difference in getting through tier 4 of Nightfall, or so I've heard. I think only one person RNG'd their way into a situation where Lord Vader just didn't get immediately destroyed by Jocasta. Hard enough getting past Kelleran at that stage. But I regret not sinking the 9 onto him anyway. Not the end of the world. As far as remods go, just, I don't know, gave some more crit chance to Cam. Raised him from about 75 to about 85. I don't think any other big relics applied. Increased my offense on Drogon. Still working on it. There's a couple more slices to work on, but I could trade up some more speed to have even more offense. But I'm trying to keep it right about there. So about 15.4k special offense right now. Looking to be around 15, 6, 7. Something like that. 6, 7. I think that's about it for me. Dagger?
I unlocked CX2, I guess is the only real thing I did.
I hate you. Go on.
No, I just I don't know. I didn't remod anything. I generally do my best Sasha impression during the off week, and maybe do some last minute remods the day before lock.
Mhm.
Like it would be today and tomorrow morning, and I just didn't do any because got too much stuff going on.
Fair.
I ain't
Fair
trying
enough.
to. I ain't trying to spend the time. Look, remodding's not the hard part. It's putting everything back. That is the really, really hard part.
It is. It is. That can take
Yeah.
a long time. especially if you like to do it manually like I do. All right. TJ, how about you? Mods, remods, relics applied. What's new?
Yeah, man. So remember, I'm doing it by template. So for me, it was reapplying the stuff to Sidious and getting him back in line from the last time he had his one. I think that was a big one. Also, I also borrowed your stuff when we were talking about it. And I told you I took one of the project of Marin 9. So I took what you gave me and I started applying. I started looking at what you did, which is obviously meticulous. So I was like, all right, let me massage the numbers to what's going to be realistic for me. And it still felt pretty good. Moved her up, obviously, with Afra. I moved her. So it's like doing it the template wise, I started doing a bunch of maneuvering. So taking some of the old stuff that's not going to be utilized, moving them away to reassess mods. And I think I'm at 50% right now of where I need to be at. But yeah, I just got everything ready. Got Crosshair. I think they're going to be one of the key people still to do things because the Bad Batch working it off. I can't get Batchers level 9 to save my life. So we're just going to assume it doesn't exist.
Datacrons is the next section, so
I know, but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I mean. It's like, but I got Crosshair, so it's like you're asking me for modding. So it's like I'm taking my template and applying all of the characters who weren't there, and then to the next point, getting my stuff ready for when CX2 drops. Right. So I still have my 2-star. So it's like I'm just prepping everything so that when it comes up, I'm all set, done, locked, and loaded, and I can just immediately swap over the CX2 stuff.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, and we'll discuss more about CX2 a little later.
I know.
But no worries. All right, Sasha, how about you? What have you been preparing in the off week? Anything? Remods, relics?
It's mostly been just resource accumulation and stacking up on stuff, including I really have not honed in all of my datacrons. I know we're going to get there in a bit, but in terms of adding relics, it's really just been sort of hoarding those materials, which generally I get excited going into week 3 and want to throw a bunch of stuff at it, but sometimes I do find we learn so much about a meta and options with it after week 1 that it's not bad to have a stockpile and some optionality coming out of week 1. So I'll probably do that. I won't come in guns a-blazing for week 1, but will come in with kind of the resources to be able to adapt to what I learn. And I guess if there was anything, what I had a hard time not doing was taking Saw, Luthen, and Cassian to Relic 10, 11, 12, any relic I can get them to, because I'm so psyched for Andor. But, that was my week.
Ooh, we should add an Andor segment.
I'd be all for it.
I'm so pumped.
Andor speculation.
No, I'm with you, Sasha. I literally favorited Cassian and K2 just because Andor's coming out.
So,
and I just want to
did I miss a trailer that dropped today or something?
They've been dropping trailers. They've been dropping multiple clips every single day for the last week.
You basically can watch episode 1.
Yeah, I've been just entirely under a rock. I don't know that.
No, it's and all of the previews coming out for it are giving it epic scores right now. It's getting
distracted by Lakers in 5. If you know, you know.
You're saving yourself for Tony.
Season 2 drops this week, though. Tess, did you? Yeah. I'm hoping you knew that.
No, I didn't know that, but that's okay.
Season 2,
I have a schedule spot in my shows. I finished a couple shows recently, so I'm ready.
So what you're saying, you're not a true Star Wars fan. It's fine if you.
I don't really follow when it's going to release. I just watch it when it's there. Because I don't really like waiting. I don't like the feeling of the wait.
Yeah, we have a mutual friend who updates us as to what comes out and when, and then we group watch it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, Fatal, how about you? Preparations. I'm sure you've always got something you want to try in a new Datacron meta. What's cooking?
I haven't really. Well, that's actually not true. I don't have any expectations for this 3v3 season, is what I will say. This last 3v3 season was, I would say, the first unfun 3v3 for me in the last 3 or 4 years. It in a weird way, 5v5 is getting better, 3v3 is getting worse, that it feels like 5v5 is getting I wouldn't say super teams are like a full thing in 5v5 yet, but it's full enough to be a viable playstyle. And 3v3 is kind of gravitating towards where 5v5 was, where you can post your 15 best teams, and they're holding 30 teams on a 15-size board. And you can't really put up anything scary. They're just going to have the answer to everything. So, to that end, I've been here before at this point. I kind of know what that means, and what that means for the most part is that I'm probably just going to have to try to focus on ways to scam popular counters. But really, a lot of this upcoming season for me is probably going to actually require me to focus more on like my offense stuff, that like to make sure that my offense is airtight, because that's how these things largely boil down to. Is I post my 15 best teams, and then if there's anything that remotely trips you up at all, well, they're not going to drop a battle. So it's all me to do due diligence.
Yeah, it's a painful way to die. You understand? All right.
Dumb ways to die.
All right. Well,
I guess specifically to answer your question, I haven't done any mod work yet. Like, I'll probably do that. Like, try to sneak it in the afternoon. I have been going crazy on the new sets, although the more I like think about FTCs, the less I think I care about this current set.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that well, I mean, bulk in 3v3, at least level 3 bulk, we of course know is not as powerful as it can be in 5v5. But it's still just like, I don't know, when I look at the power budget of this set, I think especially like bulk plus light side bulk stands out a lot to me. But it's also more opportunities to fish for like God bulk runs, even if you didn't have it on the dark side done. Like, obviously set 20 has some better passes, but I don't know. At some point, I would sleep better at night knowing that I just had like less crit chance rolls on this other Datacron to put on my favorite Premier dark side teams and all that good stuff. So I don't know. I did like do a detour and got the Sign of Django Kron and the Afro Kron, but
yeah. By the way, guys, you may not have noticed it, but we have transitioned into the Datacron discussion. So that's
sorry,
fine.
I wasn't sure if the
No. That was the next thing right after you were done, so it's just as well. So yeah, you went for Scion of Django. Who else do you go for?
I did Afra, but like,
yeah,
to be honest, man, like every time that I was like going through one, and that data cache cost kept ramping up, I'm like, I don't think this is worth it. Like, I think I would genuinely be happier just like grabbing another, or like going for another plus 80% health cron, or plus 150% crit damage. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I picked up Afra for the obvious reasons. It's just probably the best cron out of all 4 of the focused ones. I do think Zalbar is the sneak like second best though, because these abilities can be useful in a couple of places, but really there's just no way to go wrong with these stats. So
yeah, I think stats wise, I think the stats alone make it probably the second best. I don't think it's better than the Dad Bod one, but I'm also not quite sure what the Dad Bod one enables.
Right.
But it's got to be more than what the Zalbar one enables as far as mechanics go.
Fair.
The problem to me is that there's so many filler stats that I'm kind of like CG was very judicious about like, we'll just make it say 100% crit chance, and people will read that and think it's a stat that matters. And it's like,
it doesn't.
Like, does the math add up for like, what is it, like 100% health and 100% defense or something?
Yeah, 80% health, 100% defense, 75% crit chance.
I mean, it's not bad, but like, we have light side bulk where you can get like 100% health and then 75% bulk on top of it. I don't know what the math split is between those two.
Sure. Yeah, I just think I think it has the chance to stand. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to echo what you've said several times. To me, that still kind of rings true. In a world with no defense, something with defense is worth looking at.
Particularly in 3s, right? I feel like it would have an even more outsized benefit in 3 versus 3.
Is
guess
it good? We don't know, but I think it's worth looking at and at least
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
You know,
the thing I'll tack on is this. This is why it has been judiciously rewarding to go obscenely hard on defense mods, is because like I think Lycia's put out the graph that like it's actually been like 5 sets or something since we saw defense, but it hasn't necessarily been gone for me. It's just like, all right, I'll do the defense via my mods, and then we can stack up bulk on the Datacron instead. Like,
Sure.
I'm not saying obviously it's not like 300% defense, but then again, no, there's a Zalbarkron, and if I've got like 15% defense secondaries on every single mod slot, that's basically 100% defense.
Fair.
I do think people are criminally under farm defense sets.
Yes. Myself included. All right. Yeah, so I did the Afra, I did the Zalbar, and I took the Cyanogengo just up to level 10 for stats. I don't really think I don't believe I've seen that I'm hard required to get it. If I am, I will. But until then, I don't really see a reason for all-purpose benefit. I don't know exactly how I'm going to use this, but what I do know is these stats are killer. I will make use of them somewhere. That's why he's there. And yeah, Hera, some of these stats are actually nice with the health and the offense further up the way. Negligible 30% defense only. It's kind of crap. But the stats are okay on this one, and I could make use of it, but it's absolutely the last priority for me.
Yeah, I took the Hera one to level 6 just because I don't know if I'll ever use Phoenix, but if I do, the level 6 on Kanan is the thing that like matters, I guess. To make the team kind of indestructible. Outside of that, yeah, I'll get the Zalbar. I have the Zalbar one at level 12 currently. I will probably finish it at some point, maybe next Conquest. My guild asked me to do Dad Bod. I think this is easily the worst stats. And, I'm dubious at how high this punches up in 3s because you're 2-manning. I mean, sure, it'll do something, right? Like, whatever. I just don't see this doing it much in 5s. Or, anyways, I'm not trying to disparage it. Just, I was told to get it, so I did. Hopefully I make some use out of it. I like the Afro one a lot. I don't think people need to take it to level 9, but I definitely recommend taking it to level 12, because getting that doubt to lock in the debuffs really will allow you to beat, those smuggler crons who might be a little dodgy, no pun intended, next 5v5 when it comes around.
I was very high on doubt 12, not for Afra herself, but just like probably when the set first came out. And honestly, as some time has passed, I've actually started to lose confidence a little bit. Doubt was obviously very strong when it first ran, but the thing that keeps on ringing through my head is, okay, this is a Datacron with pretty shit stats, and there's no like second dark side passive tacked on. So this Cron is basically like solely here for doubt. And so I think, like, my first thought with it is like, oh, of course I'm gonna put this on Lord Vader and his clones in Division 3 when that shit hits. But now that we see CX, I'm not actually sure that like that's the way to go with it. And so now, I'm not saying I won't be using it this way, but yeah, my first instinct when I saw this was, oh, this is clearly just like a level 3 doubt to slam on some team that isn't named Afra. And now I'm like, okay, but how? It's only 35 protection, right?
Right.
Like that 180% potency is effectively bulk for Afra, but if you're not Afra, yeah, the stats are not all that. So
I
don't know. It's
agree.
tough.
It does feel fairly well tailored for her, so it's going to be difficult
it
to
also
see me using it elsewhere.
It also feels like Fatal said, it almost feels like they went out of their way to not add clauses to make this usable anywhere else.
With how powerful doubt is, I don't blame them for doing it. But yeah, I'm not saying that it won't have uses elsewhere, but I'm saying if you're gonna go for it, you really need to like make sure that, okay, this is like slamming the door shut on something major.
Well, Phil, you brought us into this topic, so you told us a bit about your focus datacrons. What else have you been shooting for, set 21 wise, out of this? What was your priorities to pick up for week 1?
Just stats. I'll be honest with you. I have barely looked at the level 6s or 9s at all.
Okay.
I can tell you I have 100% protection cron. I have a few pretty high health crons. I have 175 crit damage cron.
Okay. Good. Beastly. That's what you said for your Star Killer? Something like that?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I'm just like, man, these are some pretty cool numbers. And so the weird thing I'll say is I definitely went in with the intent to just slam bulk. But the numbers for crit damage offerings this set are pretty good. That like I've got a fair few crons that are like half bulk rolls and half crit damage rolls, and I'm like, does this really need to like change? Like,
be one suited, yeah.
Like some like Datacrons have like a polarity or something that I have to worry about like min maxing that way. But I'm like, I don't know, man. It's got like 75% crit damage and 50% health. I feel like this cron's okay. I feel like I could probably just park this shit here and be happy.
Yeah, you're right. Well, for my part, I wanted to make sure I re-rolled and got a crosshair cron, so I did get that. I picked up Sidious, bunch of potency on it. He's going to be a beast. Ideally, wanted to pick up a Talon cron. I already had one GG cron. I picked up a second one that has a different 3-6 combo, so now I'm covered either way between Dark Side buffs on 3 or buffs up, and then I have blind on 6 or want to say riposte. Got a Luthen, got a Mon Mothma. They're okay. Still could have some stats. What's the word I'm looking for? Optimized. Fugitive Omega. Yeah, that's kind of a crap cron. I'm going to see what I can do to salvage it. I don't know who that's for. Got a split of health and protection. We'll see if that ends up being...
reroll for the Batcher one and use that as your 5v5 Fugitive Omega team cron.
Maybe. Why not just Crosshair?
I think Batcher is better, and I think Batcher level 9 is better.
Yeah? Why you say that?
Not your opponent's not being able to gain TM is like really nuts.
All right.
I'm not saying it's going to be. I just like went through and read all the level 9s like yesterday. Just that. By the way, the prep I did for this show is I read all the level 9s.
Fair.
Now, to that point, though, Dagger, if Batcher is the go-to level 9, and I do love it, I particularly love that non-GL no gaining turn meter, but it does mean in 3s that if you've got Fomega, you're obviously, including Batcher, and, you're not going to end up with either Crosshair or Wrecker. One of those two is missing.
I think the 3v3 team is Wrecker Crosshair. I think that Batcher's on the team is... I think... Like there's no clause on Batcher that says the team has to be Bad Batch for opponents not to gain turn meter.
True.
Yeah, the only stipulation is if there are no galactic legends.
Siphoning turn meter and then stopping any turn meter gain. Again, I don't know what the ramifications are in 3 specifically, but I think this is going to be really, really good in 5s. Being immune to daze means she'll always assist as well.
I'd say here, yeah. In 3s, I'm just not seeing the Ray-Ben Batcher combos or whatever else.
I don't argue. I'm not arguing that at all. That's why I said for 5.
I hear you. Yeah.
We rerolled the Fugitive Omega one for Batcher for your 5v5 cron because you do want a bunch of bulk on this team.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. And then just last of my set, like I have a Sith Assassin cron, but that's kind of whatever. Saw cron is just, good for his team. I'm still thinking, though, that it might be Luthen that I want more as far as a level 9. Like the level 9 here on Saw is whenever another ally is defeated, Saw takes a bonus turn in their cooldowns or reset. I'm not really sure how much it matters for him to pop out more turns after his early couple of turns, right? So,
that's funny because
every time he does it, he's running a rocket.
I'm just saying that's funny because Tass straight up told me to roll off my Luthen for a Saw.
Well, then you stopped listening because I explained why you would want to have both. Sorry, what were you saying, Fatal?
I think Saw is absolutely preferable. Because think of it this way: every time that they kill one of the disposables,
Summons.
they get immediately hit with a AoE blind, AoE dispel, AoE TM remove. The Luthenkron, if it's unique before Datacrons before it leads, and so Luthen I assume will make the summon before he gains his own stats. That I don't think you get value to it that way. Not that like having a tanky Luthen is bad, but like, yeah, I don't know. I can imagine a world where like those repeated Saga checks, like if we're talking something like Riva, maybe that like is kind of a paper tiger team. That like, don't get me wrong, I played Riva against Saw. That shit is not close unless it's like a very specific Saw Gerrera comp. But yeah, I don't know. I think those Saw teams actually kind of hit a little bit harder than it seems when you factor in that you're losing the disposable primarily, and that it's kind of checking you every step along the way.
Also, the level 6. The level 6 also does non-zero things, not just in the opening salvo, but after the opening salvo.
Sure, very true.
Sure. Yeah. All right. I can see that. All right. I stand corrected.
Yeah, I'm not upset about the Saw level 9 either. I was just giving that shit.
No,
I don't think the
I
Luthen level 9
appreciate it.
is worth chasing. I did pick up a Mon Mothma Cron to do some testing, and then did literally no testing with it. So yay me.
Yeah, I have a Bodhi Rookron, but I don't think that's going to see any service for me in 3 versus 3. That's maybe kind of a, ooh, I wonder what it'll do in 5s. But that's it for me. So that's me and Fatal out of the way. How about you, Dagger? What have you been cracking on?
Well, I was saying the Mon Mothma Cron with the Rebel Fighter 10% turn meter every time you gain a buff is really hilarious with the POW offense up.
Yep.
Sakala. That's really it's really funny when you do that and you're just like, oh look, Team Steroid plus TM, go. No, I don't know. I'm a Mon Mothma simp, so like anything that makes her good is like something I'm gonna at least try.
All right.
Outside of that, yeah.
What
I
about
have
your
my
focus
crosshair.
state of crons? I'm sorry, you said you mentioned you got Dabba Boba for the guild, you got Afra, and then that was it, right?
No, I said I left the heroine at level 6 because if I'm ever gonna, the stats are honestly kind of doo doo.
Yeah.
So if I'm ever gonna use the Cron, it's gonna be for the level 6 on Kanan. So I took it to level 6 for the level 6 on Kanan. And the Salbar one, I'll eventually max. It might be next conquest. We'll see how it all kind of lines up. But I did take it up to level 12, so I have all the defense on it.
Okay.
Right, because that's the reason I took it up that far. I guess you technically get the defense at level 9. So I could see you taking it up to level 9 and stopping, or technically level 7, I guess, and stopping there for the defense. But yeah, I mean, I'll work on it. I have the part that matters, which is the level 3 to revive mission. I'm sure there are other things that matter here, but Karth sucks.
Sure.
Yeah, and outside of that, the only one I have the Apocron, obviously, and the only ones I really targeted were for 3v3 were Saw, Sidious, Crosshair, and Dooku. And I have all of those.
Okay, why Dooku? You think he's just the best one to go with your trench team?
I think that if you have the Dooku one, you can actually post trench. And if you don't have the Dooku one, you can't post trench.
Okay, so yes. Fair.
Yeah.
Right.
I think this buys me a defense team.
Yeah.
Other than that, like what Fatal said, I'm basically just I have dismantled a level 9 and several level 5s already just because stats are ass. So yeah, I had one where it was just potency, tenacity, and I got up to level 5 and just like, you know what? I'm just gonna start over.
Fair.
So yeah, basically just trying my very best to farm stats and failing miserably at that.
Good stuff. All right, TJ, how about you? Focus Datacrons and the ones that you've been going for from set 21 otherwise.
I have all the focus Datacrons. We're playing this time.
Savage. Jeez.
I walked in the door, had that shit done, and they are all prepped. And I honestly think I have pretty good plans for what I want to try. Zalbar, I know there's talk about the revive mechanic. The Zalbar only tied with mission and then the revive on the focus Datacron. So what's going to happen? Nobody honestly knows, and anybody who says they does is probably full of shit. So that's how I take it.
I'm 99.9% sure she's going to revive with 75% protection up.
And that's my point. It's like that's the thing, right? It's like It does look like it'll work. I don't know, but either way, I've got the Datacron for it, so it's ready to go. It's locked in. Same thing for the other ones. I love my Phoenix and the 3 with Krex. If we don't want to put them anywhere else, Hera, Krex, and Kanan, and having the focus Datacron and getting 25% turn meter to start built in right off the rip, and then they just go is phenomenal. I'm kind of jealous of Dagger as I honestly still think Mon Mothma has a great level 9 and a great boost on this. It's so good. And she was already well in line when it came to it. And I love Saw's, right? I think Saw has a great one. I think Luthen has some mechanics there, but I definitely would love to get a Mon Mothma one because I don't want to call it a truther. It's just a great level 9 that's built in on passing buffs. Put them together. The amount of work that's going to get done.
Basically, what TJ is saying is the level 6, where whenever a rebel ally gives a buff to another ally, you gain 10% turn meter, paired with Mon Mothma using her basic.
Just crazy.
Other allies gain 25% turn meter. You can take Scout off the team now, and like you can actually manually stop your train when you want it to end. Which gives you a better ceiling, maybe against something like Rey.
I like what they've done with the rebel fighters and how they're making you think about it, and then they're giving good stuff like Fatal was talking about. So the stuff, all of it feels well, and then having bulk on the light side again, having a lot of percent health, having Scion back. So I've got Scion, that had to happen. I do have Dooku, so I've got my Dooku set up as well. So it's like I pushed really hard wide. I am jealous of the stats because I think those are going to be there, but mechanically, there's a lot going on with this set. So I have literally done, as will laugh at me, I have not done a Bodhicron, and I seriously doubt I will do a Bodhicron because that dam has to be Rebel Fighter. I fucking hate that. Yeah. It has such a good, all you got to do is just put Rebel. Just tell me Rebel leader, and that's broken. It's busted. I would love
somebody pointed out to me a couple weeks ago that it doesn't necessarily preclude you from doing like a Wigs thing.
It's true, but I'm cooperating.
It would be 3 versus 3 only. It sounds like it's bad. I think it's not
good.
That
shit wasn't good back when the board was smaller.
Yeah,
that's
what
I'm
think
saying.
It's good. I'm just saying that it exists because
if they really want it, honestly, if they like, the feedback would be if they really wanted to use, just make it Rebel. He's a Rebel fighter. Put Rebel fighter level 6. Make his it could be non-GL. Just say Rebel leader and move on with your life. If they did that, it would be so much better because then you could start doing like, I'm going to do a CLS thing now. And the shenanigans that would fly because you can put Rebel fighters in the team. But again, either way, I'm not building on that. But also, I also went old school and I'm doing some of the Bad Batch stuff. I can't get Batcher. I would love it. I do have a Scarred. So I at least got a Scarred so that the team is built up. So for whatever that's going to be. And then Tech's level 9. I don't know if you remember the Tech level 9.
Yeah.
Tech's level 9 is absolutely the shit. And they brought it back. So I love the setup. He'll basically... It's like, yes, I understand your ticking time bomb is just lowering, but the ability to you're just done. You're never going in.
Every turn.
That's
it's
it.
Like, no, he loses.
Yeah,
it's like, he loses health and protection. It'd be a goddamn shame if his AoE didn't heal, right?
So as Fatal said, so as Fatal said, when he went, I hammered down literally everything so I could have all the focus Datacrons day one. I love what CG's doing right now. Like, there's no notes because you can go buy your character. I know we'll talk about it. I got the Apocron, so it's like I am cautiously optimistic because we're going to talk week 1, and then week 2 we have Jocasta New. So it's like, it's cool. It may change up a lot of dynamics of what we're going to see. So on my Datacrons, basically everything. I have been farming so much, kept it wide. I don't know how many level 9s, but I'm into the 400s, man. I'm into the 400s on it. We're doing the real.
So
we're doing the reals.
All right, man.
I'm maxed out.
Just crush it. See you week 2, I guess.
Yeah.
You just want to take over Baby Yoda with that.
Oh no, dude! Nobody touches no one touches the baby. No one puts baby in the corner.
That's right.
Dude's a monster.
I was waiting for that one.
I know you were, buddy.
All right, Sasha, how about you? What have you been going for this week? Focus Datacrons, level 9s here in set 21. What's up?
With the 600 energy a day conquest calendar that they had drop, it was just like I felt like I was bathing in energy, and they could get tons of these datacrons. And like my first reaction on seeing that calendar was like, oh, that's great. I don't have to keep refreshing up through like 200 energy on everything. And then like in the inner voice, which had a little bit of a devilish accent, said, or now just hear me out, Sasha. You can do both. And so I did. And I don't know, I love datacrons. So I've rolled out a ton. I have not really honed stuff yet, but like all I think of the 3 of the 4 focus datacrons I think have really high relevance. And we've talked about them at length already, but I would say I know the stats of the Cyan and Django are underwhelming relative to the others. I mean, the Afra stats maybe aren't perfect, but they seem so bespoke for her squad. But I think that Cyan and Django cron, like the mechanics are just so awesome, and the boosting of a 2-unit squad, particularly for 3s, I think it's going to have a really high ceiling.
Agreed.
So I certainly maxed that out. I did with Afra and Zalbar too. On the rest of the Datacron set, I like a lot of the stats that are out there. So I kind of like Fatal was saying, if I've had things that have crit damage, or, even armor pen, I don't turn my nose up at. And then, both health and prop being pretty functional. I've tried to make sure I keep any of the light side, like bulk level 3 I can get, but I'm happy with stuff even if it doesn't have it. I have a Sid Cron. I don't have a Talon Cron. I wanted one of each of those, so I'm going to continue to chase the Talon Cron. And I think a GG Cron is probably for the first week, maybe the second week, before the mastery of the meta sets in and efficiency is like clearly the game. I think GG is going to be surprisingly effective as like, oh, I just want to clear this stuff and I'm not super banner sensitive. And so I'm interested in a GG cron that's got high health, crit damage. Armor pen, does okay with them too. And it's got that riposte level 6. And I'm excited for that. So
you're running buffs 3 or max health damage 3?
I think I can see a preference for max health damage on debuffs, although it's just 2%. I have a max health, and I'm assuming that is factored into Grievous's damage calculation based on health, and so I'm happy to have it. And you add on top of that, like if you end up setting him on D, or if he's the last one standing, I mean, he's going to be super thick and he's going to be regenerating his health like crazy. I can see it having appealing too. So, like, I don't know that there's a wrong answer on that.
Yeah. I think there's a couple ways to go for the 3 and the 6, honestly. So, fair enough.
Right.
Any others you wanted to highlight?
The only thing I'll add in, like totally aligned with Dagger, the Mon Mothma stuff is a ton of fun. I did very early on get one of those Mon Mothma level 9s, and I had the 10% turn meter on 6, and oh my god, she just like crushes whatever you name it, like that isn't JMK or otherwise like TM prohibitive. In just in squad arena, and even a Leia squad like in 5v5, and you lose the ability to just spam Pow's special because of her cooldown reduction limitation, but they just cut through stuff like crazy. So that turn meter train is as advertised, was my impression. I haven't thought about an application in 2s, or in 3s rather, but I'm sure there is.
Okay, fair enough. Before we move on from Datacrons, I just want to know, did any of you have any initial thoughts about where you might be applying Cyan of Django? Because, I definitely think he'll shine more in 3s than in 5s. So, any targets?
Yes, I'll say Vexatrog, my opponent, put out a good video to show what they're doing and some of the things that they're showing on initial testing. And that they're, possibly 2-manning GLs. And happy to point you to, I don't know all the things. But when I see this, that gives me the ability to say, I can 2-man a GL. And we're talking Leia, we're talking Ahsoka, we're talking good things to 2-man.
Okay.
That's in 5s. I'm not talking in 3s. I'm talking 2v5.
Okay.
And they're knocking stuff out. So, yes, I will be happy to point, but it's like I was looking at what they're doing. I'll put a video out about some of the things, but it's pretty nutty, man. That's why I was hearing everybody talk about the Sonic Django. It's like everybody's got a piece right now. Everybody.
There are a couple data crowns I wanted to touch on really quick before we left.
Please.
I think the Sith Assassin one is much better than people give it credit for, because I think there's a reasonable chance that your Sass won't die when used with Bane with this. And that's plus banners right there. Right, because you do the Terminator push, she gains stealth and 100% prot. And then whenever she uses her abilities against somebody with a debuff, she regains stealth. So the damage Bane is doing to her, she's recovering every time she takes a turn.
Fair.
I will possibly add that might, depending on the difficulty of the Bane matchup that you're taking, that might be the opposite of what you want.
That may be bad
also
news.
fair.
Yeah.
No. Again, I'm not arguing that. There are definitely times you want it to die. I'm just saying that there are, if you're taking on some of the weaker things he can do, this may be a way to gain some banners back.
Okay.
Also, the Newt Gunray one for 3v3 specifically, Newt Django B1 is a team I continuously use versus Qui-Gon and other teams, and this may allow it to do may open the door to some other things. I don't know. I'll try it against some harder teams this time to see if this actually matters, because I have one for this coming week, I think.
The return of Galactic Legend Newt.
Yeah. The meme of GL Newt. And then Tech. I know TJ briefly mentioned this, but Tech's level 9 is so good. He reduces all of his cooldowns every turn at the cost of 5% health for each ability. Each turn, each ability was reduced. And it would be a goddamn shame if Tech didn't have a heal somewhere in his kit, right?
Fair.
I just wanted to kind of point those out, because I think that those are 100% worth getting, especially for 3s. I'm sure that there are some, that we'll talk about for 5s and that in between. I think there's a couple like Batcher that you're and Mon Mothma that you're gonna prioritize a little bit more. But I think these 3 are ones that if you have them, don't roll off them. I know everybody's chasing certain ones, but I wouldn't roll off these. I think you'll find great use on these.
Fair. Yeah, please, guys. Any other comments you have?
I want to add something that what Fatal said, and I faced it, and it's annoying as shit. There are certain teams who are dark side who don't really care about stats but do great things, and Doubt is a phenomenal addition to the teams. Don't just look at your Afro, because the one thing I love about the setup with the focused and the non-focused is there is a lot of flex that changes the fight structure. And Doubt, especially in a world where every move you're doing is pivotal, but then you get doubted and it's like game over.
Just destroys
I have
momentum.
I have a couple of ideas of already what I want to try, not Afra included. So I'm already rebuilding my Afra to be sure that if I keep it this way, it's fine. But if I don't care. I've got the BT1 setup. They're still going to do phenomenal things, but Fatal Gay call it. But I really am leaning in that one of the big things you do is doubt somebody and you're just screwed.
Another thing I just want to throw out is that we know light side is bulk, and then we already know how good a lot of the light side level 3s are. I also just want to say that because there's a lot of people who are going to just default to whenever a dark side uses a special ability, they gain the buffs. Just remember that Scout Trooper has an AoE days.
True.
Just remember that, like, whenever dark side allies gain a buff, Treya, every one of those like bonus prot things is a buff.
That's stat. You're thinking of protection up. Not to derail, because I agree with you, but it's protection up, so it's not a stat in that case.
Oh, okay. But anyways, I'm just saying that I really think that those two, for the regeneration, not only they're going to be good for your banners when you use these teams on offense, but I do really think that they're good.
Okay.
And I don't think there's a lot of really good dark side level 3s this season, or this chapter, or whatever you call them.
Fair.
So don't roll off your level 3s until you get a chance to play with some of these crons, because I can already think of a couple places where I can use these. Even the Ampag level 3 is good for like Darth Revan because of BSF, right?
Yeah.
Like I found myself just like going through and like just hoping to hit this the dark side specials, and I was just like, why? I'd like check myself mentally on that because the other ones are so useful.
True.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw that out there.
Good additions. Appreciate it. All right. If we had nothing
I forgot about
further,
that, though, Fatal. You're right.
sorry.
Saying that I forgot about the protection thing. But anyways.
Oh, no worries. Well, all right. So if there's nothing further on Datacrons, I did want to make sure we had some time to talk about CX2. So he will come out tomorrow. It's going to be one of those things where if you're willing to wail on him, there's a 3-hour window in which you would be able to get him in for a Grand Arena week.
How come yours is grayed out? How come yours is grayed out?
Shut up!
Bass.
I was gonna say, would you like to know what it looks like not grayed out?
Yeah, I was gonna say, let me know if you want a screenshot of what it looks like when you actually have a character. You
Bring on the heat. Bring on the heat. I've been living with it for days now. I'm gonna have it fixed tomorrow. Do your worst, both of you sons of bitches. But yeah,
that's right.
I don't have to do my worst. CT already did it.
That's what I'm saying. You can't do spinny stuff. Can you do spinny stuff with your active CX2?
Not only grayed out.
Technically,
grayed out.
No, active, sir. I said
active. 0 out of 25. Not only is it grayed out,
I got goose eggs from that event. It was
I have a couple extra
stars
going into 3 stars. If you want to borrow some,
dude, this is basically your hairline. We would donate you some if we could.
I don't quite respect that, but I see where you're coming from, and we'll just have to compromise.
You can just acknowledge. Yeah, just acknowledge. It's fine.
Yeah. So CX2 though is going to give you the trifecta of Lord Vader and 2 Darkseid clones, so full activation between everybody's kits there, I guess. You'll have the Apocron if you sprung for it here on Apo's first release. What are you guys thinking for setting this guy up for week 1, mod-wise? I know TJ had some thoughts early, but I mean, this is to the entire room.
Bulk.
What's bulk look like? Slow bulk, fast bulk, bulk with emphasis on other secondaries? Yeah. What are we talking about?
Probably speed set with 3 prop primaries, maybe 2 prop primaries and a crit damage triangle.
Okay. Crit damage triangle, why?
Just damage. The cron I have for this has good stats, and I could probably make use out of a crit damage triangle on it, but I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling on what the triangle should be. I just like the idea of they're going to have so much survivability baked in off of like the Omi and the Datacron, where I really do think that you could get away with a crit damage triangle on him.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and I see that his unique's giving him like 50% crit chance.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
He's in a weird situation where he doesn't really have much to scale with, aside from health. Like
that's probably where I'm going. Yeah. So when we were talking about it, so it's like we talked about it before, but I'm still in alignment. At least for him to start, right? I may not maneuver a whole bunch of stuff, but for him, fastest health set, whatever I can do, because he's already naturally fast, and the pieces of it, I want to work the kit and what he's doing and all of the pieces that go with it. So honestly, I'm glad Fatal said health, because that's where I'm thinking, because of the protection up build up and things we're doing. Feels like health. I understand that saying a Lord Vader team with health. Yes, I am still of the mind that trying to bulk him out with the health to tie in the protection up feels effective, especially in 3s and the tie-in of the Omi.
So the thing that I'll specifically call out is his unique says whenever he uses an ability against the same enemy that he did in the previous turn, that means that he needs to be going before Oppo and Nightfall Trooper. So specifically, I plan for him to be Turbo. And then there's a fork in the road, because for the most part, right, like, does he give everyone 100% health? Yes, but we know that he can't be targeted while Lord Vader's active. So the bulk doesn't necessarily feel crazy important. Outside of like maybe if people are like running SLK, then obviously the health will help him stay alive. The one possible shout out that I'll give, if I'm not just defaulting to health, because I do think it's a safe default. And the reason why I'm saying health over damage is also because his base damage pools are just like kind of shit.
And health over protection also.
I get to say this. I was right last week. The double health only applies to the health pool.
Great.
Yeah, it only applies to the health pool. It's pre conversion.
That's cool.
It's like similar rules to Royal Guard. So yeah, if you're trying to exploit the double health clause, you need to be on health primaries. It's also true for Lord Vader.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that one was possibly safely beyond you, but no.
It sounds shocking, but
Actually, doesn't he shift it though? But that's what I'm saying. It's only in my opinion, it's only the shift with CX2 though. That's
hang on.
Really quick. The only thing I want to point out is that his protection pool is bigger than his health pool.
I think it's like roughly the same, but what I'm trying to get at here is
5K difference. I think I'm looking at it on .gg right now. It's like a 5K difference. I don't know if that matters in the grand scheme of things, but that might mean that protection might break. You'll have to do math. And when I say
I know the math. I'm trying to say the math.
Let's hear
him. It's pretty much the exact same. So the conventional wisdom I would tell you is it's less about the primary and more about look at the secondary and choose whichever. Where like if you have a protection primer with like 8% health, that's probably going to be fine. Like I would just because I really think that Lord Vader and his whole dynamic this coming season is going to be Lord Vader going through the true damage wars. I think it's going to be him against Bo-Katan's true damage. I think it's going to be him against Lessons damage. Fucking especially the fact that JML is sitting pretty with he's got light side bulk backing him to boot. That like there were times in the last couple of months where sometimes I wanted bigger Lessons and sometimes I was like, damn, I just kind of need to live. He doesn't have to choose anymore, and he has access to 100% protection on top. If you want your shiny new Lord Vader to like contest that, I think you really just need to go full Bull Kingdom. And yeah, you're just straight up counting 6-digit numbers versus their 6-digit numbers and trying to stay on top of that.
Would you then move off of a crit damage triangle on Lord Vader?
I personally will be.
Okay.
So it's going to be 4 health primaries for you, something like that?
Again, I think you're at the mercy of your secondary. So if I have
but if you had your druthers and let's say all things were equal secondary wise,
I think it's like the difference is within like 5K, or not 5K. It's like within 2K for the difference between health and protection primary.
So you're just going to be sorting with both on, and you're not going to sweat the primary. You are going to have just the optimization looking for the secondary.
Yep.
Fair.
100%.
Fair. And then I have another follow up to that. Until we get the rest of these kits and see if there's a 5v5 only on one of them, if you have this is from my perspective, I have a pretty good manicured set on Lord Vader that's been there for a while. Is it worth swapping just for 3v3?
That's a conversation between you and God. For me, I have always enjoyed playing each competitive mode to the fullest. So my TW loadout is separate from my 5s, is separate from my 3s.
Yes, sir.
And to some degree, like you can have a cracked out mission in your TW loadout, but if you really want to enjoy Salbar Omicron, it might have a little bit more fun given mission, let's say, some mods that a TW unit might have normally. But if you're not running hot utils and like doing mod swaps that way, that's that's a whole consideration that I'm not going to tell you. Oh yeah, you should definitely do that because that fucking sucks to do.
No, that's fair. I was mostly just asking about like the value add. But yeah, if you're using hot utils, I can definitely see that being much easier.
Yeah, the competitive advantage I think has always been pretty real, right? Like hailing back to like even like Turbo Qui-Gon years ago. Between like you're never doing that shit in your TW, or even you kind of did in the 33, but not to the same degree, right?
No, I did. Much to the chagrin of my TW staff.
You just got to convince them that it's really, really important that
that's going to be the savior for the match. That's what's going to win it, guys. Qui-Gon Blast is going to save your days.
No,
Keller and Back Omicron didn't exist yet, but you're like, listen.
Yeah.
No. See. The go-to I always had Fatal was all of my red dots are really close.
Quick follow up on Lord Vader. As far as secondaries, what are your priorities going to be?
Speed plus whichever bulk stat is not the primary.
Okay.
Also, specifically, while everything that I said about the mods is true,
Yeah.
because Datacron stats are coming from an even playing field, you do get more out of health just because it's 100% health versus 100% protection.
I can see it. Okay. All right. No, appreciate
And
that,
Fatal,
guys.
is your thought because BKM is so high on that Predator list for LV that you're not looking at defense sets as much as you're looking at really health sets?
Yeah, I'm probably going 3x health.
Yeah, I was thinking it is so nice to be able to stack high defense on a GL that is not facing an abundance of true damage. That I was tempted, because this new LV 3-man squad, it makes him a de facto tank. That it was so tempting to just go defense, and it's a bummer that true damage is undermining it.
I have questions about whether Bo is actually up to the task or not, or what level of Bo, more specifically, is up to the task. Because I know there's a lot of people who have let their mods slip on. Well, I keep calling her. I need to keep calling her redacted. I have to keep remembering that. We have to. There've been a lot of people who have reduced the quality of her mods. So I wonder how that's going to play out week one if the people who do lean in and pick up CX2. Because I think people are going to have a reckoning where they're going to have to reintroduce the God mods on Paz and Bo.
I think it's a fair point. I'd considered it a bit, but the other Predator that's up there is JML, who's also doing true damage just based on his protection, right? So you're right. BKM, in fact, I have not reinvested in my BKM squad in a while, and I dropped a BKM versus LV in fives, and I suspect in the top bracket, my um, like fairly shaggy BKM squad is going to struggle against LVs. But yeah, even JML is just isn't
It's
really
so much to
prohibited.
chew through. It's just so much
Yeah,
to chew through, man.
it is.
The thing I will add on the topic of CX2, I don't remember if I said this or not, so coming off
No,
I
go
did.
ahead, please.
CX2 doesn't have too terribly much base kit shit to worry about scaling for his kit, in my opinion, aside from speed. But his base tenacity is actually pretty respectable, coming in at a core 93. That I do think a tenacity splash could actually be considerable. He doesn't have to necessarily worry about being targeted in 3v3, so sacrificing bulk isn't felt too much.
When you say splash, you mean set plus cross?
Yeah, for now. I would so the main reason that I'm thinking tenacity is possibly if IG12 is in the mix, because you would want to try to preserve those assists. I would have to double check what IG12's base average potency is running around with, but yeah, with a character with 93% tenacity, if you're interested in the splash, usually set cross. That puts you in that 160 to 170 ballpark range, and then if they're pushing the envelope, then you start saying well, shit, okay, how fast is my oppo? Can I go 3x tenacity and still say faster than that? And blah blah blah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting option. Okay, guys. Last item talking about just getting ready. Jocasta New will not be available for this first week, but will be for the second. You guys preparing anything in advance? You have a team composition in mind? Is it going to be Kelleran, Jocasta, and who on defense? Something like that to test? What do you guys think?
Almost assuredly, I will start with Kelleran, Jocasta, Mace. It might be right choice, to do Snips.
Sure. Might do Cam.
But I think those are the two comps I'm looking at initially.
Okay. How about the rest of you?
That is a whole other ball game for me. I am definitely on hold until she gets closer. Just because that whole order. I had some splashed around Omis, and so I applied the what's the useless one? The one you had tasked. It was just getting it out of the way for the Jissy. Yeah, I put the Lumi one on just in case, man, if it goes up, because obviously we had her for the raid, so she's there. So mine is like R8 or whatever it
And
is.
you
So it's
want
like
to
I might
believe,
as
and I respect that.
it's like, well, they gave us 70 mats. So I'm like, the only one that I really don't have is the Lumi one. So what's
Fair.
another useless setup? It's like, well, I've still got 300 or whatever. But that's what I'm saying. So it's like, what are we doing with this? Like, man, I couldn't even tell you because of the fact that has some really great setups.
Really quick, I just want to adjust what I said. It turns out after like reading our kit here on .gg again, because we haven't done the actual kit yet. In giant yellow fucking letters, it says the ability one of her abilities can only be used if all hell has our Jedi Vanguard. So
Yeah.
it looks like I won't be using Mace on this team.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah,
It looks like I might be doing like Qui-Gon lead in the meantime.
But the only thing I don't like about her thing and not enough is like her stuff perceives through Qui-Gon's Omi. I am not a fan of that. I am not a fan that they basically don't want you on the Qui-Gon team. They're saying it's like, we don't care if you put it with Qui-Gon. You don't get to try to cheese that out. So, but I think with Beck, I think there's monsters there. There are some really good Jedi Vanguards, and that's where it's like,
No, there's not.
Yes, there is.
Like
Sir,
yeah. I can
The
see
Dark
Doc. I can
Zaris.
see Zaris.
Go filter your roster by Jedi Vanguard and then lie to me again.
Yeah, I think
I don't
I've got
have to
on
lie.
screen if you can't see. Yeah,
I didn't say, and I think there'll be a lot more to come, and I think she's going to really help it out. I think
I'm
it's
not
obviously
arguing
going to
that
be
there's
better
more
if
to come. I'm saying, like, right now, the
I love
selection
Shock, though.
is
So to be fair,
relatively
I
light.
was a Shock clone truther, so it's like I love Shock, but that's what I'm saying. And threes, I don't know what it's going to be. I think it'll be powerful because we're on bulk, so that tie-in is there on the light side end of things. And it may be a 5 will see the true power, but either way, it's like I have plans of what I want to try to do.
Really quick, this is a complete non sequitur. What do you think about? What are the chances they split these like Lord Vader clones by doing 2 clones, then the 2 Jedi, then the last 2 clones, and they just like make us wait and rot for the last 2 clones?
Why would you even put that out there into the ether?
I would actually prefer that personally.
Well, yeah, but the only downside is we would have the full Lord Vader team for week 3 of next 5v5 if they released all 4 clones first.
I guess. I want the power. I want it sooner than later. So, just me though, maybe.
I'm 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I just wonder what's the next character being released because the friend of the show, Womprat, posted images from the data mine showing the Galactic Republic Jedi people in the they look like they're up next. Is all I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, there's images for all of them. I wouldn't take that as confirmation of order.
Okay. Well, I think the next thing on the list is going to be patron questions. So let's kick off the first one here from Miasmal. What is a mistake that you've made in life that has contributed positively to your current character, if you're open to sharing? I've got an easy one here. This is something I knocked out in my teens. I want to say I had it defeated by my early 20s, but I had this habit of anytime I was in a room around people that I knew well or didn't know well, but they would be having a conversation that I wasn't strictly involved in, and I would just walk up and want to know. And then, sometimes they'd indulge me, but most of the time they're like, well, we'll let you know later or whatever. They were, they wanted to finish what they were talking about, but I would press the issue when I was younger. So turns out not deciding that you're entitled to be caught up on whatever conversations you were not already invited into, stopping that behavior does wonders for the social life. So that's something I learned fairly early on. I don't know. Dag, you want to step in the limelight on that? Anybody can step in. Don't you don't have to wait to be round robin for that one.
mine isn't. Mine is. I mean, maybe slightly more significant. Mine happened in my mid-20s when I started deconstructing my faith and trying to weigh my personal morals versus the morals that were instilled in me as a child. The reason why this is kind of relevant to me is the thing that kind of kicked it off that led to the decade of me trying to feel out my own what I now would call is linear morality or linear focus, because whatever. Anyways, I'm going to talk to people about this if people want to talk about it. But playing KOTOR 2 and getting to understand Kreia / Treya and seeing that the world wasn't always black and white like the, hyper religious house I was brought up in. Right? Everything was either good or evil.
Mm.
So I would say that planted the seeds for later on in life, circa around 2015, 2016, when I started to try to figure out where I actually stood on a lot of stuff, because there was a parting of ways. I had a parting of ways with my then church at the time. So I
Yeah.
would say that has made me a much better person, because I had to re-examine my life, and I had to re-examine my behaviors and values, and kind of just reconfigure my entire moral outlook on life.
Yeah. Check and make sure what's there is there for reasons that you're good with. So that makes sense.
Correct.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. DJ, how about you? What you got?
Mine's gonna be a little different. It's nothing along those lines. But everybody
Yeah.
who knows me, I've shared it openly. Ex addict for meth. So I was from 16 to 24, full blown on self medicating, doing all the whole nines. I talk about it openly because it's basically I have to pay it forward.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that was my whole thing of worked out positively doing a negative experience.
Fair. Very fair.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mhm.
And you have pretty good teeth too.
Thanks. I'm also doing a ton of dental work, but yes, that part that comes with it as well.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
to be fair to
because I was going to say you don't look the part, so good on you. Yeah. Sasha, how about you?
Can you? And I think I get the gist of the question.
Yeah,
Would
you
you
need
mind
me to recap it for
just
you?
restating? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What is a mistake that you have made in life that has contributed positively to your current character, if you're so open to sharing?
Yeah. Um, I'll tell you like one mistake, or just it was kind of a core trait of who I was for a lot of my life that I think I came to realize and have turned around a bit. Is I used to be super self-critical and very impatient and unforgiving with myself, and it wasn't always apparent to the outside world because I wasn't willing to share it or show that vulnerability. And it took me a long time, including some really hard moments in life, to come to that realization. I've got to be like as patient with myself as I am with others that I love and I care about. And it's look, it's still an ongoing journey, and I have like a lot of internal turbulence that like I still kind of cope with, but the ability of having gone through that sort of realization, like I mean, everything from working with therapy, just sort of like enough sort of realization about myself, that kind of self forgiveness and self patience is something that's turned into uh, more positive than negative for me. When for earlier in my life, I think I had a problematic perspective on that, and was and it was a huge challenge. So like for me, that's definitely a big learning and a turn for the positive.
That's a great one. I think, yeah. I think a lot of people could use hearing that, because overthinking also feeds into that type of mindset. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
have been there. So yeah, these are very wholesome, guys. Nice. Well, thanks for that, Sasha. But last but not least, of course, Fatal. Yeah, what's a mistake that you've made in life that has contributed positively to your current character?
I don't know. Like, I'm kind of like Sasha. I don't know that I can say any like specific mistake more so than just like a trait. Um, I don't know. I guess just as I continue to get older, I would say I really enjoy just kind of trying to focus more on self acceptance and just focusing on myself and worrying less about uh like constantly trying to cater or like appeal to other people's opinions of me or whatever. Just I don't know, man. Do your thing. If you enjoy it, like you don't have to worry about what other people have to think of it. Like at the end of the day, like yeah, if I enjoy the time investment or money investment or professional investment or whatever in it, like yeah, I don't know. Like I think at some point you could drive yourself crazy if you and I kind of did drive myself crazy if I like put too much stake in, oh, did this get views, or try to get such and such to recognize me or whatever. It's like, no, man, just do your thing, just live.
Yeah, good way to look at it. I'm a big proponent of the only meaning that your life has is the meaning you give it. So as long as you're living the life you're satisfied with, it's tough to say you're wrong. Provided you're not butchering people in the process. I think that was kind of assumed.
Yeah.
Beautiful thought. Appreciate you sharing that.
Oh, one more quick addition, since I guess I didn't really outline the air quotes mistake, but it was blindly following my parents' religion without questioning anything was the mistake.
Yeah. I think all of you had valid interpretations to the questions.
Yeah. I just thought back and realized I never like explicitly said what I believed the mistake I made was, which was the first handful of my early adult years.
Mm-hmm. Acknowledged. Makes sense. Yeah. All right. Next question from Single Malt Jedi. With the Zalbar Focus Datacron reviving mission now, do you think the squad is better suited to offense since you'll get super DR without the automatic banner loss? Or still defense since people can't do the easy 2-shot? Or is it just a match-by-match decision? So let's take it on as the room. I mean, from my point of view, I'm thinking she'll be better than, the team's going to be better than ever on defense precisely for what he's saying. In the case of whatever you're going to do, you're not about to just cheap out and force mission to self-sacrifice. So
I'll add one quick qualification, and then I'll let everybody else answer. Is that is going to depend on whether Gungans still steamroll them.
Indeed.
Because if it's there in the Gungan steamroll, then unfortunately it may just be offense. Not that the Gungans don't have other applications, but they were so effective against it previously.
They were, but there's going to be a lot of assist magic going on with 3 characters alive. You're going to have 10 charges of shield and no means to charge the shield. Well, I guess what is it? 13 charges of shield, I guess, from in total with Jar Jar, but no means to charge it further. So I wonder. I agree. Gungans was a snap last season, but I do wonder if it's going to have the same punch.
What do you guys think?
I think it's firmly on defense and make them Gungan it, because if they're going to Gungan it, they're not Gunganing something air quotes better. Because if you were going to save this team for offense, there is nothing outside of the only real +3 banners doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, I don't think. And the ceiling of this team is like Great Mothers, maybe Balin. That's like the ceiling of this team. And if that's the ceiling of this team versus the floor being 25% natural failure rate for Gungans because they go after the shield generator, I feel like that's just a better value in general. So for me, until like Sasha's, I'm with Sasha. Like until otherwise specified, I'm more than happy to put it on defense. Because people are going to there's going to be less Lord Vaders trying to solo that now with CX and Apple running around.
I think that's a key one.
Fair point. But because you're more likely to see Lord Vader on defense as well, of course. Yeah. Sorry, TJ.
It is, to make it easy enough, it's a 100% defense, but I don't think anybody knows the actual floor. Having Mission back on team, and she's already given you the stats, so everybody's already boosted, and saying, now here's another character to tie in, that if that's what it's going to be, and again, I'm not going to assume anything. I'm going to say it's there's the Omi there, so we'll see whatever it's doing. I don't know if just the floor is just the mothers or if it goes higher, but I would agree with everybody else. At least for week 1, it's back to being a new problem. Figure it out. And if they don't kill the problem, you don't get to cheese like, all right, I'm going to go and remove Mission and then I'll just go 2-man and it's gone. It's like, no, she's still there. So if she revives, technically she's there. So does it start over? I think that's another question too. So say you kill nobody, does it lock in and you're stuck starting over and doing the full fight again?
Also, looking at the data from last season, obviously we learned that Tarpals was the best third. But as far as non-GL counters to this team, it is by far Bo and Gungans.
Yep.
If this requires Bo, that's really interesting going forward.
Yeah,
with
interesting
Lord
stress
Vader.
point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Treya, Malgus has some. Malgus is like 90-ish%, so like it's not like it's. Anyway, it has some counters, but yeah, the stress point of do you want to take like the 10 to 15%er that Malgus loses? Treya's 2/3.
But I think the great thing is it working. Are the same things going in, because not everything is 1-to-1, and does the Supercron with the super team change up the dynamics where it's like you don't really have a choice? But I'll call BTM because that felt, regardless of whatever you're doing with Tarpals or whatever.
I'm looking at this and it's like a 31, 38, 36. All of the less than 40-second fight. Like it's not like this. Oh, here's one that's 20. It's not like this fight was ever close. I'm looking at it.
That's just my thing though, is like that was on the dynamic that there was just the two. What does Mission bring to change the fight?
Mhm.
Because she's staying there. This is what I keep going back to. It's like she gives you all of the goodness, and now you have a super team, and then she says, haha, I'm back. As long as that's what it's gonna be. And then how does that work out? They're already going a million turns. Having her tied in and then throwing that additional damage out, if that's what it's gonna be, is going to be nasty.
Yeah, there's only one loss with BKM versus this team last season, and it was a back out.
Yeah.
Everything else was just an utter stomping. In fact, there was I think there's only 3 fights here or 4 fights here where like the BKM team lost anyone.
Yeah. I think that this is going to be really difficult to take on with these lesser counters, because consider that after she comes back, but after all that stat share from the dying, right? She's going to come back, and then this unique is back in effect, right? Mission has plus 50% offense. If Zalbar is present, he also gains this bonus. He'll be assisting him every time he does in anything. Problematic. I don't know that there's an easy way around that. What are you thinking about this one, Fatal?
My experience is basically the opposite. This was never defensively viable because it died to shit like Gungans, and nothing else on my defense did. So, like, posting it would be a strict downgrade. My personal view is that this fucks over me and basically nobody else because I'm the only heavy defense poster left.
I remember you using this pretty religiously on offense last season.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even necessarily about me using it on offense. It was just I had it on offense and there was a Great Mothers right there, so I'm gonna use it. But like pretty much every time that I encountered this team, I just told Mission to kill herself, and now she comes back, so that's kind of fucked up for me. So now I actually have to learn to fight the team legitimately, and my Gungans had other use cases. So yeah, I don't know. The team is simultaneously unpostable for me, and also now harder for me to deal with. So it just feels like a lose-lose from my side of the arena.
Oh, quick question just for me here, interceding on the patron questions. But Maul is kind of freed up. Is this just a Maul Gar ISC you're holding in reserve for offense?
If that works, you let me know.
Maul Gar ISC still has work to do.
I'm saying like hold that in reserve for an offense. Like, why wouldn't that work? What did I miss?
Why would it work against DR?
No.
No.
This is like separate next question.
He's tacking it on because LV's got other work to do right now. So it's like
Maul
is now free agent.
All the discussion we had on LV, it didn't really occur to me to bring up Maul at any point right up until just now. So sorry if that was too abrupt. But yeah, any idea?
Yeah, we have
about
liberated Maul.
Maul being just my quick 2 cents on this. Maul being available on offense now means Gungans are not postable.
Okay, fair insight. Yeah.
Maul Gar ISC is 100% viable with almost any setup. As long as there's a dark side something, those three together they're not a defensive team, but they push in on Gungans. They push in on gas. They push in. There's like
that's
all
not
of the
fair, TJ. Somebody might want that. Somebody might want this team nest soloed.
Yeah. So we are in
Oh my
agreement
god,
then
dude,
that-
that's right. It would be an S solo, but yes, that's just there's no viability. But yes, as far as an actual, and we're saying that with good banners, that team has always
Yeah.
done super well. Anybody's put any kind of care into your Garbros with the mall, and then just you don't have to do a. I mean, if you do a big change, it's great, but you don't need to, and that team just functions so well.
It's true. Okay, so yeah, for offense, appreciate you guys indulging me. Back to the show. Back to the questions.
Hold on, really quick. We have this tool at our disposal.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks like it was used against Gas, Zori, again Gungans, and then other shitters. There might be some legs to Great Mothers, although it doesn't look fantastic. This might be a decent out to the new Saw teams we're gonna see. I'm just looking through what people are using against. It looks like it can beat the new Bad Batch team too.
Anywhere that you needed to push a huge focus, and then they just ramp back up, and then it's ISC to do the work. They hold their own. It's just too effective on the setup, and to make it better, there is a tank on your team technically. You do have Dark Side Tank Revive, so there's other things you can do with the fight as you're doing it.
Hey, Sasha's going to have to get going here. Sasha, before you take off, can we get any final thoughts or comments on anything at all? Because, of course, we'll have the normal wrap-up for the rest of us. But any final thoughts you want to leave for the folks before you scoot?
Yeah, I will. And they are not tactical or even strategic on the game at all. But it's just an expression of gratitude. Like this has been a very fun session. Some cool questions, really cool exchanges, and for me, coming off a rough period just out in real life, this is just this conversation and you guys, the whole community. It's just such a reminder of like what I really enjoy and take out of this game, and I just want to say thank you guys. This is a ton of fun. Like I had not even signed up for GAC for the coming week, and it was just kind of dragging. And then it was just a fun talk, and like this is why the game stays vibrant and alive for me are these types of conversations and friendships. So it's sappy, it's not particularly actionable, but I just wanted to say thanks, guys. So good time, and I gotta jump go tend to some stuff, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Okay. At long last, back to the show. Let's get back into the next patron question
Also,
here.
one last note on Maul. Remember that his pushes can't be evaded. So all of this gives you another out to some of those like pesky Sana teams.
Fair.
A weird shout out I will say is 3v3 Maul lacks some luxuries in terms of how that team wants to flow. That like there's a non-zero chance that you'll want to look into like Dark Side preload plus like a fast Gar Saxon or some weird shit like that, just to like if you're trying to live the Maul fantasy, like you need a way to go fast.
You need the kickoff, yeah. What about the return of your fast droidica? Return of the Mac?
Well, let me tell you, I like if I see something like a gas, I'm not even going to use Maul there. Like I'm just going to do Garsax and ISC.
Yeah.
Like
you've got a tenacity crown prepped for such a purpose.
There's always like weird things can happen, man. It wasn't really a playable period, but there was a period where Maul Paz looked not shabby.
I think I remember you talking about that. You were giving all of the dynamics of it, and I thought you did a pretty good job of your explanation of why him there actually holds a lot of weight. I remember that conversation you gave.
It's a distinct downgrade in firepower, but it is simultaneously like almost like a more full, like well-rounded team. That was more from a 5v5 angle. I don't know if I'm necessarily saying it's real in 3v3 here, but when
Don't you dare kill my Armorer Paz dream with Maul.
We're more talking Bo-Katan probably just for the sustain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm like the chances of me doing this are actually like pretty decent, I think, from just how my offense phases have been going recently and just having to like Jenga whatever pile of characters makes the most sense. Like Maul on offense is kind of a blind spot for me. Obviously, like players like Jayla in the past have like specialized in it really hyper like effectively, but I'm kind of glad that he's kind of being set free now. That I don't know if he's going to make the biggest splash in 3v3, but I think in 5v5, him and Grievous is cheating with this fucking set 21 Kron. Pretend that this didn't exist. If it was just like baseline Grievous, I think are two teams that represent like really some decent like enthusiast level potential. Like I wouldn't be shocked if someone was like, yeah, GG stat, like non-set 21, just like plain GG stat, like yeah, it beats Ray or something. Like yeah, okay, I buy that, right? Like there's a lot of good shit happening there. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, the last time the last Stabcron that was around, I have video on YouTube that I've shared with a couple of people of using GG Stab to beat Ray in Arena. So I believe that there are versions of GG that can absolutely just lawnmower the shit out of Ray. And to be clear, the only times I lost in that testing is when they didn't get turns, so I timed out. So
that happens. All right.
I'm just saying I agree. I think that there could be people who are like, yeah, GG does the Lord's work.
Yeah, that is a worthy consideration. I was pretty much thinking about using the set 21 here, but I guess Staff is still worth thinking about. So fair.
Yeah, especially when you can be like whirlwind these nuts with 2-turn DI.
The DI is a pain. It is true.
Yeah.
All right. Next question here from Mus Ross. Is Java going on offense for the next 4 months while Afra has her focus datacron? Short answer, my brother. For me, feel free to chime in and correct me, guys. But for me, yeah. If I see an opponent having that Afracron, like, yeah, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah,
I don't think I can set a sufficient draw to punish that.
There will be a cursory check to see if they have the Afra focused, and if they do, which I suspect they will now that I'm back like in the top 130 or whatever, it'll just be on offense only.
That Java has a lot of work to do, though. I don't know if people remember, but when the protection, recovery, and everything else in the disruption playing it apart and putting those three together did a lot of dirt and took out a lot of teams. So yes, it would be on offense, but he has great punch-up value is my immediate thought, including the Ray Ezra's. I don't care what you're doing. I fully intend that those three together are going to make mincemeat of a lot of the.
You're talking about Crescent and Boosh?
Yeah, you're doing Crescent and Boosh.
Okay. I was just saying, because
I'm going to go back to your point, though.
Yeah, you said the three, and I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page.
Well, there's also fights where you just could take Skiff as your three because they were going to do a bypass on the taunt anyway, and that gives you Crescent on your Afra team. So
that would be. Wouldn't you want Embo or Cad Bane there for quicker contract?
It wasn't, because the Skiff passback did a lot of the work. So on some of the counters that were old school, that Skiff passback was doing a lot better with the tie-in of the turn meter gain and everything else.
Yeah, I think I think Jab will be my dedicated Balin counter this season.
I feel like that's going to be strong.
I don't really have a good answer to Balin this season.
But you're right. Embo could be just fine there, giving that other dark side for that other turn meter and those extra moves. And I don't think we don't want to discount. CAD still has the level 9, and they're going to be doing a lot of other things there. So the power hit from Embo is great. And if your CAD is built up, as some of us are up here at the top, that assist and going in, you're dead fast.
Yep. All right. Fatal, do you have any disagreeing thought with that? Anything you wanted to chime in?
If my opponent wants to spend 4 datacrons of materials to kill a team that dies the Night Sisters, go with God.
Fair.
I will not
but
judge
if they
you, but I
do
will
have
protect
it, what are
you.
you doing?
No, I'm still posting the team.
Okay. All right. Eat shit. Use it here. Fair enough. All right.
Bro, Afra already beat that team anyway. Like, what are we doing? Well, not at 3v3, of course, but like, Afra's more expensive than Night Sisters in my eyes. The banners might even be worse at some point.
Okay. All right. I can see it. I'm thinking with the immunity to thermal deaths, it's kind of like, okay, fine.
And you can't target Afra.
Yeah.
You don't get to play the game. It literally is, you can go hit my people, sure. but you're not touching me.
I'm not saying it'll hold. I'm saying
Oh, I know.
It was going to lose anyway, is what you're saying. So
Yeah, your
I
logic
take your
is I will freely show you my
and
Jabba, and you can hit it with your Afra.
Yeah, and to Fatal's point, when his whole goal is, I don't care if you beat this with Afra. Have fun with your, what is that, 51? Fuck you.
Well, I don't know. This is a very overtuned Crom. We'll see what.
Well,
see
yeah.
what it does.
But I think Fatal's point is that you're going to bleed, and that's
Yeah,
good
okay.
enough for him.
I can see it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Fatal, but that's what it sounded like.
it might bleed. I don't know. I mean, like, like Java rollout debts and like fucking, but they do ramp defense as well. Like, I don't know. It might bleed. It might not bleed. Even if it doesn't bleed, I'm still posing Java. I don't know.
Okay.
The moment that I become a holding 30 teams for a 15 size board player is the moment that I probably just quit. So I'm
okay.
I'm good. I'll pass.
I think the other point, the only points I'll give for the Fatal side of things with the heavy defense and everything you're throwing is you only get one Afra. She does have other application in other places, I think, because you can do Chrysanthemum, because you can do other things, and because you can cheese the shit out of it. I think she also has a higher calling if you do have the really good Night Sister setup. So I would understand Fatal's like, yeah, use your Afra here. I really feel like she has a lot of places she gets to play the game.
I want to
now.
try. I want to try her versus the new. I want to try her versus the new Lord Vader team.
Well,
I'm
in Datacron metas of the recent past, I remember she was also just stomping on Saw. That may not be the case, but it could work here. I could see you doing something like having Saw.
Tell me where she can't work when the whole point.
Especially with the Sawcron, having her go first to increase cooldowns could just be the TKO.
Could be.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like everywhere she can go. The whole point where she was nimble was because you could hit her. If you have the focus Datacron.
Okay, you convinced me to place Jabba up front, and then Saw and Lord Vader in the back. You got me.
That's what I'm telling you, though. Right? You're saying
I probably won't do that. I'm just saying you've convinced me that it's a game. It's a shell game.
I could see the point of saying put Jabba up there so you can use your Afra here, so you don't get to try it anywhere else. The ability to have 3 characters and I can put my super tank on this team, and you don't get to touch her, is an amazing, amazing thing. And if you're taking that Datacron, you're also taking Doubt.
Man, I can't wait for the 5v5 in between where I get to talk for a half hour about Afra and Mon Mothma. It's going to be a good time for me.
Speaking of talking for a half hour, though, I got to drag you guys back onto focus here because we still got a few questions, and then we'll wrap up.
All right, sorry.
Yep. Frick Frack Paddywhack is our next patron. Now, he cheated here and asked 4 questions. I think we're going to, watch me slice through these pretty quick because we've already answered some of this stuff. What's Boba Fett Cyanojango's highest calling on offense from what you can tell? Yeah, we discussed this a little bit earlier. We're thinking the likes of Galactic Legend Leia, Ahsoka Tano.
Great Mothers.
What
I think
else?
Great Mothers is where I'll start.
Great Mothers, okay, fair. All right.
I think that's a pretty safe. I don't want to call it a floor or a ceiling, but I think that's where I'll start with it because I think that's going to be relatively reliable.
I think they're going to be one of the most lethal 2-mans if I expect what it's going to do. From what, again, visual representation only, no data, getting to see it. But with these setups, I figure they're going to be one of the most dangerous two-man teams or two-option team. And GLs, I think, are the limit.
To be sold
dangerous, just list teams.
Yeah, people are not asking to be sold on the potential of the
going
team.
To the point, Leia, Ahsoka, or GL status is what's showing as a ceiling on a 2v5.
Okay.
So if you're telling me 2v anything is not off the table.
I checked that video since you mentioned it, and it was testing against a Relic 8 set 20 Leia.
This is why I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm taking again is a grain of salt to see it, but seeing what you can do, and that's also again against a 5-man team. You don't have 5 men here; they get to do their work quickly.
So basically, if you've invested in it, you have the incentive to try and see else you can take down. Sorry?
If we're looking at it in terms of tool set, I would say a huge amount of power budget is just on the starting Beskar and the protection ignore. So look for teams that tend to be a little bit more crit reliant, I would say. You also have do keep in mind the list of immunities and can't be instant defeated, can't be ability to block days, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you've got some good under protection damage, you've got some good The counterattacks with the crit immunity, the level 3 Beskar is, of course, very good. But at the same time, Fennec doesn't have it, so Fennec is a little bit off on her own. Ironically, if you ever put R9 on your Fennec back in the day for LV counters, I think this is a time that you won't really regret having it at the moment.
Yeah, I know some really good Fennecs that are in our guild that like their numbers, like one of the best characters is basically a Fennec. And it's not even R9, but I agree. That's like the damage there for that output is just gross.
Okay. Next one here from him. Let's see. Let me see. Well, does Phoenix have any legs in threes with the focus Datacron? I don't.
Yes, if you're taking your cracks. Yes, if I'll counter that all day.
Take your Iden, kick the shit out of it. Don't place the goddamn team.
Yes, if you're willing to take cracks on the team.
And even if you do take cracks, take your Iden and kick the shit out of the team. Don't post this Datacron with this team.
I just say defensive. There's absolutely don't post any defensive. But if you're talking like offensive capabilities, absolutely there is work.
So who you taking on? Yeah, who you taking on with this then? If you had to.
So if you're posting, Reva's dead, so that's already out the door. Anywhere where I need to cycle a team, because you get the 25% to start the fight. On top of it, they're just going to do all of the work, and they won't stop. You only need the 3.
When you say cycle a team, do you mean preload it?
Do you mean preload it? This guy.
That's what this team's going to do. People are going to listen to you, and they're going to try this, and they're going to preload a team.
And I'm telling you, go look at the stuff that you can do with that team, and those 3. Now, again,
any and all bad results, send fan mail of all of your worst failures in the next week, care of TJ5270.
Sure, and when it works, and the stuff does, but again, notice
all the loving fan mail to TJ.
Notice the asterisk that you can't just go and say, "Let me go just take my Phoenix." It's you have to take Hera, Cracks, and Kanan.
Here comes the caveat of him saying you also have to have them R9, and you also have to mod your Hera and your Kanan really, really well, and you also have to get lucky and have them not target Cracks. And you can still only beat like bad teams, like Adrat.
I wouldn't call Reva a bad team, but again, I don't know the floor right now. But do I think there's legs? Yes.
All right, next item for the likes of Leia and Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano. Is it the 15% bulk or the tank revive preferred as the level 3 in 3 vs. 3?
I think on Leia, I might want tank revive, but Ahsoka, I'm pretty sure I want bulk. Her sides are so fucking squishy.
I agree with it, certainly for the sides to Ahsoka. I think that I'm also likely to go with bulk for Leia. I see why you would say that, though, because I remember that being a pain in the ass before, so wouldn't be outlandish.
It's fun to flip it back and forth. Go ahead, Fatal.
No, I remember it being a pain, but like I checked my recent history and people were just using Bane and SLK, which both block revives.
Fair.
Also, notably, bulk might put more pressure out on people who want to try shit like Sign of Django.
Sure.
With the tie-in of the big damages and stuff like that, the bulk feels like a stronger sentiment. Keeping them around always feels like a good thing to do. And even if it comes down, offense or defense, you get down to Ahsoka and you get down to Ultra Ebb, and that's a 2v5 team in itself that you're having to kill. So the bulkier, the better. Ezra loves that. So
I will back and agree that I do remember historically tank revive Leia being a pain in the ass. That like, yeah, it like. I think you really just need to do your research, maybe on even like a opponent by opponent basis of like, okay, what do they like to use?
It's Fatal saying that, folks. Take that to the bank right there. Do your scouting.
It was with the STH level 9, that setup of the tank revive on top of the STH level 9 and how that feeded. That was gross.
Well, also considering for non-fatal people, Leia is most likely going to be on offense. So the tank revive is So the tank revive is probably better when you can smokescreen everybody but Leia, and then they have to beat the shit out of her for like a minute.
I was going to make the joke that you check your opponent's match history to see what they use against Leia, and then you realize that you're the only person left in the game who posed Leia. And you're like,
Is that also fair, Fatal?
That's why I made sure I said for non-fatal people, because
Yeah.
Fatal's going to post Leia, and it's going to eat Bane, so he can actually look and see what his opponents use.
It's so weird that your team and whatever you're doing is going to be 2 Rebel fighters with some Rebel fighter stuff built into the kit.
Fair. All right, and last one here from him was, can you speak to the impact that the dusting of the ATF Datacron will have on the meta? That was just a plug-and-play threat that you could drop pretty much anywhere, and
Right.
they had to respect it. Now
That's
it's a serious damage dealer under Seer, but not the first, possibly even the second best, depending on whether or not you're concentrating Star Killer in there. So she's just a dude again, a decent, character, powerful attacker, but not defining meta anymore. Any thoughts on that, guys?
It literally. Go ahead.
Better for the game. It's better for the game mode.
You realistically, and I think honestly, where I think she crushed was more TW in my opinion than GAC, but you still had to 100% respect the fight that was going in, where it was stopping a cheese or it was doing anything else. It's just you put it back in your back pocket. But is their legs still there? Yeah, under the Seer team, it's still really good under 5s and all that. It's just like any other bonus turn character. If they do the right setup, they're a monster. You respect it, and then they're here for 4 months, and then they go away.
Yeah, the meta is always healthier when we have very few assists doing 50% more damage, or it takes bonus turn every time opponent takes turn. When the meta is always more fun and less toxic when those things are at a minimum.
I mean, that's what you say.
So I'm glad that's one of those where I'm glad it's gone, but at the same time, like, I understand that it was a thing you had to see. Okay, scan the front wall for it. Okay, it's not there. Then you have to do like the mental check for what the teams are in the back, and that creates like a skill gap, I guess, between good players and not good players. But it's a skill gap that I don't think needs to exist when, like, there's plenty of ways to skill gap your opponent, or like what Fatal does, right? Post everything and make sure, and he'll just see if he can clear you in an hour.
Fair.
I think it's just fair. It's like, I will give CG their props that they try to limit out how many of them are out there, right? We got Scion. We have Nest right now. We have a Super Scion. So they try to keep it fair and what I would call balanced. They try to play with the food. They did the Super Nest, and that Super Nest was disgusting with that level 6. I think we all agree. That was the most monstrous. But you look at what Nest is now, and they try to corral it some. But they had basically the Sith versions of our bonus turn characters. There can only be 2, and it feels like they keep it pretty consistent of trying to keep things equal.
Sure. All right. Last patron question here from Arj, who's now actually a content creator in his own right for this game. So, good on you, man. Good luck to you with all that. But yeah, your question was, where is your expected use for Sidious? I highly doubt I'm going to see a lot of defenses that are going to qualify for Sidious where I'm at. If I am, it is going to be in 3 versus 3. Highly unlikely in 5 versus 5. But I know Dagger was digging into this a little bit earlier, trying to dredge up from ancient memory where we were applying this last time. What did you have for that?
I can tell. Well, before I tell you what it was beating, I can tell you that I did not post a single defense last season that I think Sidious is going to be beating with any kind of consistency.
Fair.
Okay. But it was beating things like DTMG and Iden and Radis.
And this was them at their peak.
Aren't posting those teams anymore.
But the other thing I'm going to put in there is this was them beating them at what I would consider a peak. Or like DTMG was at a peak.
Sure, but my point is people aren't posting those teams though. Like, I'm not saying that Sidious won't work for some people. I'm just saying that I think for where we are at, specifically where we are at, I think it kind of falls into the Wampa category where it's like you might be able to use him once a week. Unless he beats something that I'm completely whiffing on. I'm
telling you right now, the one thing, if people post it, Gungans, it trumped the Gungans.
Well, you shouldn't be posting Gungans, but yeah.
But this is my point, is that if they're posting it and at the top, that can still be posted, it was still doing some things.
Okay. I take that back. If you post teams that I don't think should be posted, then yes, people can find uses for it.
So, yeah.
Like if you place like Seer or Gungans, which I don't think you should be posting, I think that it can probably beat both of those. But sorry, go ahead, Tess.
Well, no, I was just going to say, it sounds, unless I'm hearing any disagreement here, we're all kind of saying that at least at the higher end of the game, it's unlikely to see good use in the, especially based on the 3 versus 3 meta of last season. Even though Set 19 is no longer with us, still the way things were, the number of teams, good teams that were able to be comfortably on defense while leaving us enough offensive options. Yeah, I can absolutely see that it wouldn't get much use around here. Maybe just a little further down in Kyber 1, certainly outside of Kyber 1. He's going to gobble up any number of B teams, I'm sure. But I think in our neck of the woods, his effect is going to be a deterrent, a super wampa. Like, you would not dare said anything that this could, overwhelm. And that's probably going to be
having it.
Most of it.
Having it is the most important part.
Yeah.
You want to have it going into week 1.
I would say the having it, even for us, I would say is a luxury, because I don't immediately see that. I don't have high expectations of value from it. But I did nevertheless want to pick it up, and I did get it, just because I like having it as that kind of deterrent. So, yeah.
Oh, and just to be Nostradamus for a second, this is one I know I'm going to be wrong on. Somebody's going to find something that it beats that I can't think of. And then I'm going to look dumb, and it's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to cop to that next week when we say, oh, yeah, Cities was soloing like XYGO. And I'm like, all right, you got me.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I go with this. But I also agree. It is one you should have. But again, if they see you have it, they're going to set what they would consider you can't sign on board, just like we do it with Wampas and everything else. Yep. You get your extra luxury, again, at the top where we're at. It's there, and you're going to post a defense where it's like, okay, well, we're cleansing, we're doing everything else. And the same thing we did with the last Scion, it'll be here too. You may find your onesie twosie, and to be fair with Dagger, even if they do or don't, you're still going to have it because it's there just in case. Yeah. But it is, in my opinion, I think we all agreed to when we went to, it's a threes thing. It wasn't anything you were that trying that 5 shit was just never. You weren't doing it. But in threes,
somebody's going to 58 my great mothers, and I'm going to put a hole through the drywall. Like, that's basically what's going to happen, right?
And it could be, but that's what I'm saying. But it could also be, it's like, well, how do we stop it now? And that'll be week 2 discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, guys, thank you for the good chat here. What a long, strange trip it's been. We have made it all the way to takeaways and final thoughts. So, Dagger, why don't you kick us off? What do you got for the people here? We've really gone quite a distance here in the last couple of hours. So, what's your summary on all this? What are you looking forward to here in the week to come? Your last pearls of wisdom for the folks at home.
Week 1 looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And I do echo Fatal's sentiment about how 5v5 has taken over for 3v3's place, it feels like, to a degree. But I will say the one caveat to this week is going to be similar to last 5v5, I think, or maybe it was the 3v3 before that, because we're going to get some much-needed relief after week 1, because it's going to be like, okay, we solved it. And they're like, LOL, just kidding, here's Jocasta Nu. And here's more people having CX2. There'll be some people who have CX2 for week 1. I probably won't be one of them unless I get really lucky with my polls, because I just ain't that kind of person. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting week 2. And I think that'll make week 2 bearable. But I see this season going south really quick as far as enjoyability goes. Like, I expect week 3 I'll just be dragging, waiting for the season to be over. Just because of how these 2 Datacron things work out, because things feel... We talked about it already. Things already feel semi-prescriptive because I don't expect to fight a single Jabba the entire season. Right? I already feel like there are solutions to problems that were never there.
Mm-hmm.
So, my takeaways are trying to find ways to stay interested in 3v3. To kind of speak to what Sasha said, I've told Tass this before too. I'm much like a lot of other people. I've got a lot of stuff going on in my life, between real life, health issues, etc., and loved ones' health issues. If it wasn't for this podcast, not only would I not be playing GAC, I probably would not be playing this game.
Yeah, I'm glad.
So I do say, so a big thank you to Fatal and TJ and Sasha who left. But I think I've told Sasha this before. And to Tass, I know I've told you this before. So much love to all of you for, keeping me not only in this game, but engaged with at least 2 of the game modes.
Happy, my pleasure to host the conversation. I get a lot out of it, so you're not doing me any favors here. It's a pleasure all the way around. But yeah, all right. Appreciate that. Thank you for the thoughts. TJ, how about you? Your wrap up here. What are you looking forward to? What do you got to share with the folks at home?
So I am going to stay built on hope with just a slight realization that I'm probably living too much in the world. It's not the first time, won't be the last, but I like what CG did with this. I really do enjoy the fact that they built the setup for CX2 now. That is so cool because it's already having a lot to do, and now it's giving us an added layer. So I love it. And then having Jocasta next week, agree with Dagger. I'm cautiously optimistic it will feed into week 2 to continue the trend, and that it won't end up like it did last season, whereas like week 2 and then week 3 was just bleh. I just have to live on hope with that it's going to be a better one because we have focus data crowns, we have other stuff to do. There's a lot to experience. So I'm hoping that it bleeds into next week where we continue to experience a lot of new things.
Fair enough. Great thoughts. Fatal, how about you? Your, summary on our discussion here, your, what you're looking forward to here for the week to come. Last words for the folks at home.
I think the season's fucked, but I'm in it to try to have some fun. Again, it's not the first time that I've dealt with the full blown cheese meta. That it's not my cup of tea, but I know ways to find the fun. That, yeah, I know y'all were celebrating the fall of Fulcrum Kron, but I'm a firm believer that the meta needs villains to kind of help shape things. Otherwise, it's everything dies to everything, right? Like, if the season's super cheesy, then it doesn't matter that LV got his clones because, okay, it's just probably going to die to SLK or some shit. Like, if SLK is not needed elsewhere, and like, I'm looking at the GAC inside for SLK and High Kyber right now, and I can tell you a lot of the stuff he's doing doesn't really need him to be there to be done. Like, apparently a lot of people are just using SLK against Java.
Yeah.
So there you go. Set 21 added Afra as the fuck Java cron. So that by virtue is now also the fuck LV clones cron. So
okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
to be clear,
I'm not trying to be.
I think we need more Fulcrums. I do agree that Fulcrum and things like that, the Great Mothers, I do believe we do need a boogeyman. I just really am happy when those rotate because I don't like the extra turn. Anyway, sorry. But you're right. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Anyway, yeah, please continue.
Yeah, it's just, I think this set introduced a lot of offensive tools. I don't think Jocasta Nu will be defensively viable, at least not under a Keller and back lead.
Sure.
I really wanted to believe, but I sat with that kit, and I think the character takes a very similar slant to like Exile Ezra in the sense that it's a very selfish character in a lot of cases, but she's not Exile Ezra levels of will end the game on you, right? She needs Jedi Vanguards to be there. I have a lot of hope for the Mace Squad coming out. Like that is, if they do what I hope they're doing, that could be like one of my top 2 most anticipated characters for the game. So yeah, I'm still excited for the future. I'm just not thrilled at this season because holy shit, please give us anything for defense right now.
Sure. All right, well, thank you for sharing that. And of course, as the only other content creator on the show, where can the folks find you this season?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV. I will be fighting for my fucking life as I pretty much throw every round before the match starts and then try to dig my way out.
And if you missed it, folks, back when we were doing the Patreon question, Sasha said he had to take off, so we did get his final thoughts back there. If you missed that, tune back a few minutes. You'll catch it there somewhere in the middle. But, for my part, well, first of all, to all of our my esteemed co-host here on the call. Thank you guys so much for joining me here tonight for this late edition recording here. It's coming up on 1:45 a.m. for me here, so I am running on fumes, but I'm glad we did this. This was a great chat, so thank you guys. And of course, for all the viewers out there. Oh wait, Dyer, are you about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to agree with you that we should say fuck TJ.
Oh, okay. I see. That's
And I appreciate that you didn't wear a hat.
I had it on for some of the time, but it's actually pretty hot here today. I don't know what it's like where you're at, but yeah, don't need it today. Don't need the heat. But
no,
yes.
and I also, actually, what I wanted to say that I forgot was no pressure, Fatal. But I know a couple months ago you mentioned a project you're working on. Do you have any updates?
Someone reminded me that project existed a couple days ago, so I started working on it again a couple days ago.
Okay.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is I ran into one technical hurdle, which is not. It will not stop the project from happening. It just means that I won't be able to animate characters, which kind of sucks. But yeah, the project still goes on. It's just hasn't been a focus lately due to real life shit.
No, it'll make sense. Just figured I'd ask.
No doubt.
No, it's a fair question.
Well, yep. Well, regardless, guys, thank you for joining me for an excellent discussion. And of course, for all my regular viewers, you already know that you can find me at twitch.tv/Tassinix. I also simulcast now from my YouTube channel as well, Tassinix Gaming. If you haven't been there before, check it out. There's a bunch of Swugger-related content that I think you'd be interested in. We've got mod guides on characters and factions you've asked about. Datacron set guides for set 20 and 21 that I make with Aesop Rock, the #1 player in the world. We've got the how-to mod guides. If you've never really understood mods and you want to understand them from the ground up, good 2-part series on that. A whole bunch of other little knickknacks there. And, of course, including all of my past Grand Arena streams. But anything you like there, give it a like. Hit subscribe on the channel if you want to see more. Really appreciate that support. Of course, Plotting and Scheming itself is rebroadcast to YouTube from Spotify, its native home. Wherever you find an episode, though, check the description. You can find a link there that you can plug into your preferred podcast program and follow us that way. Either way, love seeing, the proportion of our viewers. Most of our viewers are actually on Spotify, but it's a growing slice, a little more than 10% now that's not on Spotify, so wherever you like to hear it, really appreciate it, folks. Aside from that, if you want to go above and beyond the Call of Duty, there are a couple ways to do it. I do have a Cash App that is $Tassinix. I have a PayPal, tassinix@gmail.com. But if you want to get some enhanced scouting power, early access to some of my content, and a couple other fringe benefits, you may want to check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest for you. At $5 a month, you enter the TAS House at VIP access level, where you get early access to the Plotting and Scheming podcast, which is coming out to our general audience, 8 a.m. on Friday mornings. Patrons get it as early as Tuesday night, sometimes even a little earlier, depending on the schedule. But, usually within hours of us recording, I'll have it uploaded for patrons, so you'll have it available to you before that first round of the week, ideally before lock-in, and you'll get to make any adjustments to your plans, have that little extra advantage going into the week. In addition, early access to the Datacron set guide videos, and of course, a dedicated text and voice chat on Discord where you can usually find me lurking, so pop on in and say hi. Thank you so much to Andrew, Banja, Deadpool Cow 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Miasmal, Musross, Rays Malvis, Sam Vimes, Sheepdog47, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens14, and White Wolf. Moving on up to the $10 a month tier at VIP Access Plus, this is where you have the opportunity to get a Patreon bundle to me and to one of the scouting, bots that are very popular for Grand Arena players. You can either go with Omega Bot or with Hot Utils at this tier. Omega Bot is the tool that I like to highlight at the start of all of my Grand Arena streams that gives you an at-a-glance sense of what your opponent is about, offensively and defensively. Patrons can pull more than just 1 week of their opponent's history to have a comprehensive report that you can download as an HTML document with links that you can click that go right back into swugga.gg or Insight, whichever one you use. Helps you just drill down further on your scout. Of course, alternatively, you might want to go with Hot Utils, which is the #1 tool for your mass mod management and loadout creation. A couple clicks will have you move between your Grand Arena, TB, TW, raid mods. You can use it like Fatal and TJ do to remod their accounts on a weekly basis. You can slice through a backlog of mods that you've just been sitting on, to say nothing of all the TW functionality for your guild. Either way you go, you could choose one of those bots and you're at the $10 a month tier VIP Access Plus. Thank you so much to Dobby, Esh Sotnikam, Now For Me, Mini GK, Bloom, Shake23501, Single Malt Jedi, Snack Attack, and Striker. At VIP Access Premium, this is for the Grand Arena fanatics that want the power of both bots for the bundle value price of $15 a month. So, thank you so much to Argots, Arj, Big Ninja, Duckstab, Darth Link, Dark Hug, Frick Frack Paddywhack, General Milan, Ivanek, Hev, Hills, Quig, Saldag, Sir Boss, Sophus, The Lost Womp Rat, Wilco, and Zoltre. At the top of the heap, Injustice Club Elite, the one, the only, Nomad's Reaper. This madman will pop into stream from time to time, drop hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies, incredibly generous support over the years. Thank you so much, sir. And of course, last but never least, our special thanks. First, to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters, way back in the day, bought me the mic I'm speaking to you on right now, and even though he's long since quit the game, we wish him well from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all you do in the background, whether it's furnishing me with alcohol or coffee, or just stopping our daughter from tearing apart our home piece by piece while I'm trying to be halfway decent at a phone game. And of course, to Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, as always, it's a pleasure and a privilege to record our show together. We've all had some mutual appreciation here tonight. It's something I look forward to every week, nearly 2 years in, to record our show. So when I say it's a pleasure to talk to you guys on a weekly basis, I do mean it. I learn something every week. Hopefully the feeling is mutual from time to time, but regardless, our community learns a lot from us. And there's a ton of engagement, ton of conversation around the show. Definitely, taking our well-earned place with the GAC fanatics. So thank you guys so much for making this show what it is. All right, moving back over to the main scene. I am on my last leg. It's time to shut this down, make preparations for, my last minute remods. Sounds like, based on what Fatal was saying, I've got to tear up my modding on Lord Vader and see what I can't make some changes to. But, lots to look forward to, and we'll see you guys around here for the Week 1 breakdown. Until next time, it's been real, been awesome, it's been real awesome. Take care.